In this video, we will show how to use the text report produced in the video site survey analysis fit to create a deliverable. A deliverable is a file which informs fabricators about the critical pipe spool information required for fabrication. In the first half of the previous video, we used the setup analysis, which assumed there were no objects or supports around the pipe spool. We optimized the flange alignment by setting the flange fit preference to alignment. We can use standard fittings in this configuration because the pipe is adjustable in all directions. No pipe legs need to be off-grid, and fittings do not need to be cut back. Now we need to make our design match the measurements we have on our text report. Using the pipe length editor, adjust the distances so that the coordinates at flange 2 match the text report. In this case, we adjust the Y coordinate first, as this can only be done on the 45-degree leg of the pipe spool. To maintain the fitting at 45 degrees, we match the X with the Y coordinate. The Y coordinate has now been matched to the text report. Now the X and Z coordinates can be matched. Adding distance to the flange 1 information will push the X coordinate along for flange 2. We adjust the Z coordinate for flange 2 by subtracting from the distance at elbow 2. Now all of the coordinates for flange 2 match. We now go on to adjust the flange alignment and bolt hole orientation for flange 1 and flange 2. Before we tidy up the deliverable, we save the file. To perform the cross-check, the calculated version of the survey file is fitted to the deliverable file. For this setup, the circle fit vectors at C1 will not be 0. This is because we are not concerned with the exact routing of the pipe, no objects are close, and the pipe spool does not have supports. If the cross-check shows errors for position alignment or orientation at the flanges, then copying the text report has not been performed correctly. Go back and redo this process again. After the cross-check, go back and clean up the deliverable drawing. In section 2, we will use the setup that aligns the first physical pipe leg on the X-axis. In the second half of the previous video, we used the setup analysis, which assumed there were objects and a support around the pipe spool. We aligned circle fit 1 to the X-axis and set flange 1 to 0. Because there is a support for this pipe and a separate pipe in close proximity to the elbow, E1, we must maintain the circle fit, C1 position in the fit. We will use the same setup process for the deliverable as you have just seen. The only difference is the setup of the survey data. This time, the route goes through the location at C1. So again, we match the measurements on the text report. Using the pipe length editor, adjust the distances so that the coordinates at flange 2 match the text report. Now again, we adjust the flange alignment and bolt hole orientation for flange 1 and flange 2. These values will be different than the values we had earlier, because we need the circle fit data to be maintained. Before we tidy up the deliverable, we save the file. Then we perform the cross-check. For this setup, the circle fit vectors at C1 will be 0. Make sure the C1 is checked in the fit box. We are concerned with the exact routing of the pipe from flange 1 to the elbow because there is a support and a small pipe close to it. After the cross-check, go back and clean up the deliverable drawing. Here you can see the two different setups as deliverable drawings. This drawing goes through the circle fit at C1, and this one ignores it, aligning the flanges to a minimum misalignment.